Like shining stars, the warriors descended, a fiery rain to purify and punish. Yet even angels can be corrupted, brought low by base desires. Some battlemechs are considered good because of their strength. Some battlemechs are considered good because they fill a specific niche. Some battlemechs are considered good because they strike fear in the hearts of their opponents. A much smaller number are considered good because they are all those things and more. Of all the Clan IIC redesigns of Innersphere battlemechs, one of the most bizarre is the Phoenix Hawk IIC. Not because of a bad loadout or any real negatives, but due to the fact that it shares so little in common with the mech that inspired it. In fact, through a deep dive in the remnant records from Clan Steel Viper, I was able to obtain the following transcript from the initial discussion of the Phoenix Hawk II's design. Let's listen.
How are we going to tackle the Phoenix Hawk project?
We need to make it 80 tons.
Yeah, wait, what?
Make it 80 tons, give it 2 Ultra AC-10 autocannons, that should be really loud.
We aren't talking about the Phoenix Hawk, it is a scout and quick raiding mech. I'm not sure that 80 tons is a good starting point.
Well, if we give it 10.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor, that should do, and a couple of machine guns to mow down infantry.
Have you been drinking with blood spirits technicians again?
Okay, maybe it didn't happen like that, but maybe it did, and that would be hilarious. The specifics of how the Phoenix Hawk II was created are sparse, though we know it was the result of combining the well-known Phoenix Hawk's mobility and general look with a desire for an assault-class battlemech that could keep up with fast-moving striker regiments in the SLDF. The Steel Vipers knew that they had hit gold with this 80-ton behemoth of a mech, and sought to keep its existence a secret after its first production in 2851, until it was ready to unleash upon their foes all fists and UAC-10 shots like a whirling dervish, its targets crying out, "No, no!" But all the Phoenix Hawk IIC can hear is "Who wants cake?" And it always wants cake. The key to the battlemech's success is the Type 70 400XL fusion engine. For some perspective, it weighs in at 26.5 tons, which is a full third of the Phoenix Hawk IIC's total mass. It allows it to travel up to 86 kilometers per hour, which matches most clan heavy mechs and many mediums as well. Now add on a good number of jump jets, and the Phoenix Hawk IIC can go wherever it wants to go pretty quickly. Now at this point you might be asking, well sure it's fast, it can jump jet around wherever it wants, but what do we do when we arrive where we're going? I'm glad you asked, because the standard Phoenix Hawk IIC was armed with 2 DL Ultra 10 autocannons and 2 Series 5 machine guns. The Steel Vipers, and later on the other clans and Innersphere forces lucky enough to procure one, tended to use this firepower in a heavy cavalry or headhunting role, rushing front lines, tanking fire, and delivering a knockout punch to key units made for unexpectedly quick victories where they were thought to be quagmires. It's also worth noting that there are 3 tons of ammo for each of the UAC-10s, which means those autocannons will not be running dry quickly, even if double firing consistently during a longer battle. The 10.5 tons of forging AM-15 ferrofibrous armor provides decent coverage, though it's not quite as thick as the slightly heavier Warhammer 2C. That might not be a fair comparison because the Warhammer 2C is so amazing, but there's still enough to get the Phoenix Hawk where it's going, especially if it's jumping the full 150 meters on its grain thrust Mark V jump jets and able to avoid more incoming fire than other running assault mechs on the field. A moving mech remains a functional mech. Now the Phoenix Hawk IIC wasn't seen in the Inner Sphere until the Battle of Tukiad, when the Steel Vipers brought in their Zeta Galaxy mechs to reinforce the faltering advance toward their objectives. The Comm Guard lines were introduced to the battle mech when a star of Phoenix Hawk IICs smashed into their firing lines and kept going, turning what had been a Comm Guard advance into a chaotic melee. Only forced to fall back when their ammunition bins ran dry, the Steel Viper Phoenix Hawks taught the Comm Guard a valuable lesson about pushing their attack too far forward without significant support. In the years since, the mech has been found across many of the Clan Tumans, and now that Clan Seafox is producing it, among the militaries of the Innersphere houses, mercenary units, and even pirate organizations. A recently uncovered report from pirate raids on Thule and Damien exposed the use of the Phoenix Hawk IICs by pirates who were able to strike targets quickly, claim loot, and escape the area before a proper response force could be assembled. Even though this is an example of the mech used for nefarious purposes, it highlights just how effective it has been in its various forms. The first official variant of the Phoenix Hawk IIC was first produced in 2852, and it's a radical departure from the loadout of the original. The original's UAC-10s are pulled along with the machine guns, only to be replaced with 4 LRM-20s spread between the left and right torso. Going from a rapid assault brawler to a pure fire support mech, one would be justified for scratching their head. So we have a comparatively fast 80-ton battle mech that can jump and fire up to 80 LRMs at a time, and it can do so for 12 turns thanks to its 8 tons of ammo. I'm just completely fascinated by this variant. I know we're going to have to try it out soon. We're going to have to do a little bit of messing around with the variant numbers in order to preserve the timeline. That means our next variant is the Phoenix Hawk IIC-9, which is an older variant produced first in 2853. It's called the IIC-9 because it's been resurrected at the dawn of the Eel Clan era by Clan IIC, who have introduced it as a purchasable option. It carries an Ultra AC-10 in the right torso, 2 LRM-20s in the left torso, and 2 machine guns. It's basically a 50-50 split between the original loadout and the 2C2, which is kind of cool if you're indecisive and you want a little bit of everything. Now in 3062, we get the obligatory heavy laser variant with the Phoenix Hawk IIC-3. It is armed with a pair of large heavy lasers in the left and right torso, and they're backed up by a medium pulse laser in the center torso and a pair of small pulse lasers in the left and right torso. Now looking back at the original configuration, the longest range of the AC-10 is 18, so the large heavy lasers aren't a huge step down at 15, but it's still worth noting. You're going to have to get a little bit closer to the target before you open up on them. Thankfully, the 2C3 also has a targeting computer to negate the +1 to hit on the heavy lasers, and it'll help with the pulse lasers as well. This is going to make those short and medium range shots near a sure thing. While not normally a huge fan of the heavy laser, in this case it feels like a viable alternative to the primary configuration if you expect a long campaign where ammunition logistics are a concern. Just watch that heat. Our next variant comes to us in 3065 and is another all-missile variant. This time, instead of LRMs, the Phoenix Hawk IIC-4 is armed with 4 advanced tactical missile 9s with 2 tons of each of the 3 types of ammunition. With the extended range ammunition, the 2C4 can reach out to 27 hexes and do up to 36 damage. The standard ammunition can reach out to 15 hexes and do up to 72 damage, albeit with a minimum range of 4. Finally, the high explosive ammunition can reach out to 9 hexes and do an astonishing 108 damage. Now, if you're absorbing the implications of that on your average battle mech, remember the advanced tactical missile launchers also have an integrated Artemis 4 targeting system, which is going to add a +2 to the cluster hits table die rolls. That means when these missile launchers do hit, more of each volley are going to be blasting away that armor. Initially, I was tempted to dismiss this variant, but with the mission of being a headhunting unit, the Phoenix Hawk IIC-4 could easily kill many battle mechs with a single successful volley from these ATM launchers. It'll just depend on where those missile groupings hit. The Phoenix Hawk IIC-4 is an interesting history as it was created by the Steel Vipers following their ejection from the Inner Sphere invasion corridor. Seeking to quickly ramp up their strength and save face, production of the 2C4 was increased. Reinforcing the Omega and Spina galaxies, the 2C4 provided a powerful punch, especially in one-on-one trials where opposing clan forces expected the slightly undergunned 2C1 and 2 variants. Of course, we know that the Viper's gambit didn't ultimately pay off with the Wars of Reaving. The Phoenix Hawk IIC in all of its variants served the clan well. The next variant comes to us from Clan Diamond Shark in 3069. The Diamond Sharks started producing the Phoenix Hawk IIC in its various earlier iterations largely for the Steel Vipers, but gradually expanded sales to other clans and even reportedly to some Inner Sphere buyers. The 2C5's primary weapons are a pair of hyper-assault Gauss rifles located in the left and right torsos. To back them up and preventing any bothersome infantry from wandering too close, 4 AP Gauss rifles are split between the 2 arms. While obviously devastating to infantry, this loadout once again reflects that shift toward an acknowledgement of the growing influence of mixed arms combat in the late 3060s and early 3070s. The HAG-20s are solid, have great range, and pack a nice punch. However, the 2C5 has only 12 shots for each rifle, making the mech very ammo dependent. With a role of punching through enemy lines and headhunting, you're inherently far from resupply. 2C5s that overextend and stay too long or are unable to break contact are going to end up defenseless. Buyer beware. The Phoenix Hawk IIC saw first production in 3070, and the loadout is going to require some discussion. Hardware-wise, the 2C6 was given improved jump jets, pushing the jump distance to 240 meters, which is as far as it can run in a single turn. Not too shabby. Unfortunately, the cost of that additional agility is a severely curtailed weapons loadout. First, in the left and right torsos are a pair of medium-heavy lasers. These provide 10 damage at the longest reach of 9 hexes. The other weapons are a pair of plasma cannons located in the left and right arms. These can reach out up to 18 hexes. All 4 of these weapons are served by a targeting computer, but that's it. Since the sourcebooks and TROs like to play coy with the effects of the plasma cannons, I'll drop the rule right here because I'm just kinda like that. For mechs, small craft, and aerospace fighters, it generates no damage, but instead 2d6 heat during the heat phase of that turn. For all other targets, it does 3d6 damage in 5-point groupings, rolled individually and without doubling up on location using the appropriate damage location table, if it has one. With the Phoenix Hawk IIC, we have a mech that could be potentially very deadly for infantry and could cause significant heat issues for a battle mech. Judging it on its own in a vacuum, that's a problem for an 80-ton battle mech where there are plenty of lighter, cheaper, and faster designs that can do those things. If I were to field a 2C6, it would be teamed up with another variant of the Phoenix Hawk IIC or some other mech that could keep up with that 8 jump distance. Working in tandem with another mech or in a star of capable mechs, the plasma fire could be devastating to a targeted mech that would find itself unable to return fire without overheating. It's an interesting tactic, but at 2,490 battle value, it's a gamble for the brave and bold. The Phoenix Hawk IIC was first produced in 3078 and is just one of the half-dozen versions built by Clan Diamond Shark in the Trailshire Heavy Industries assembly lines on Twycross. By this point, the Diamond Sharks have dropped their feigned innocence concerning the sale of clan technology to the Inner Sphere. It was amusing to see them dance around, twirling their mustaches while the rest of the clans rolled their eyes and put up with it. Even Clan Wolf, who gets away with everything, was like, "Come on, guys, come on." The 2C7 is a radical departure from the original Phoenix Hawk IIC from the ground up. The 2C7's Type 81 320XL engine is a big step down from the power of the original, but that opens up a significant amount of mass to be used elsewhere. That means this variant is not as fast as the original, clocking in at a max speed of only 64 km per hour. To maintain some mobility, the Trailshire Long Lifter improved jump jets do allow the 2C7 to leap up to 180 meters, which is still impressive for an 80-ton battle mech. With the goal of creating a powerful mid-range brawler, the armor was boosted to 14.5 tons, and the mech was given a set of powerful mid- and short-range weapons. As with so many other variants, the mech relies upon a pair of primary weapons. In this case, it's 2 LB-10X autocannons located in the left and right torsos. Backing them up is a pair of Streak SRM-4s in the center torso and 2 ER medium lasers split between the arms. Reports from the field suggested the 2C7 was effective at engaging vehicles, lighter mechs, and taking advantage of already wounded heavy and assault mechs by firing those LB-10 cluster rounds directly into damaged areas. Most of the 2C7s ended up with Clan Diamond Shark's Tumen and were used in defensive units. As a much more reasonable, some would say lackluster, compromised design, it didn't sell well with the other clans, but did end up being seen among smaller Inner Sphere mercenary units and the occasional Great House Regiment. I think this is a solid design if you like the idea of a Phoenix Hawk IIC but aren't looking to pull off flashy attempts to leap across front lines to target an officer in his Atlas. There are probably better clan picks out there, but it's hard to beat the psychological impact of forcing your opponent to record hits from 2 LB-10Xs every turn. The Phoenix Hawk IIC-8 variant arrived in 3086 and has a few of the elements we're used to seeing, like the big engine and improved jump jets. However, it does go way off the beaten path with a unique weapons loadout. Now, the 2C9's engine itself is unique as it's a Model 53B XXL engine, which trades 9 tons of additional mass for an extra 2 engine critical slots in each side torso. So, what do we get in exchange for this significant increase in vulnerability? You get a pair of ERPPCs, 4 small pulse lasers, and an ECM suite. If you're underwhelmed, you should be. The mech known for crashing through front lines and headhunting has been relegated to a fire support role with a pair of ERPPCs. Of all of the variants, this is my least favorite. It really flies in the face of reason and feels like an excuse to show off the XXL engine. Unfortunately, it doesn't do a very good job of it. I'm not even sure how I would fix this, because so many of the critical slots are taken up by the engine, the endosteel, and the improved jump jets. Maybe slapping on some ER large lasers and calling it a day? I don't know. How would you fix it? I think I need a nap. Let's let Big Red 40 Tech handle the Phoenix Hawk IIC-10.
As if the citizens of the Rosselhaig Dominion didn't already have enough on their plate. Reports from near the periphery in 3146 included details of a new version of the Phoenix Hawk IIC. While that might not normally be worthy of notice, this battle mech appears to have a unique all-energy weapon loadout along with a hatchet found in its right arm, which is a cause for concern to anyone who might be its intended target. Designated the Phoenix Hawk IIC-10, its primary weapons are a pair of ER large lasers, located in the relative safety of the head and center torso. Spread across the left and right torsos are a deluge of ER medium lasers. But if we're going to be more accurate, there are 6 of them in total, with its weapons principally in the torso and head. The IIC-10 is always free to swing its hatchet, namely, to settle any arguments that come a bit too close and become a bit too uncivilized. While heat generation will be an issue for the mech with only 16 double heat sinks on board, it may be worth it for the designers of this still rare variant if they are unable or unwilling to be tied to an ammo logistics network. Besides, weaponry can be throttled. You don't need to alpha strike every turn. I promise. Weapon cycling is an art form, my friends. You should learn to master it. But overall, the thought of an 80-ton Phoenix Hawk jumping at you swinging a hatchet will most definitely give you pause if you are on the receiving end of it. If I was the one operating it, however, it'd be much more likely to bring a smile to my face.
Overall, I'm a fan of the Phoenix Hawk IIC and can appreciate it for what it is. While obviously not as solid as the Warhammer 2C or as powerful as the Marauder 2C, it has proven itself more than capable of taking on a niche role of hammering through, or jumping over, a front line to cause chaos. Like a drunken wine ant at a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party, it refuses to be ignored. So what do you think of the Phoenix Hawk IIC? Have you had any luck using it in the field? Do you have a variant that really stands out as your favorite? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing the different takes on these mechs. Big thank you to Tuppy and Big Red 40 Tech for helping out with the video today. It's always nice to work with talented people. It really forces you to up your game. I have added their links to the video comments below and suggest you go check them out. Thanks as always for watching. Remember that hitting all the buttons makes YouTube happy and lets me know I'm doing well here with these videos. Taking the extra step to become a channel member provides access to our Discord, seeing member posts on the YouTube channel, and the warm, comforting feeling that you're directly helping to make more of these videos possible. Until we meet again, take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.